population has many basic needs that are unmet, that are underserved. Needs like water, food, shelter, energy, clothing, education, jobs and livelihoods, and even entertainment. To make a village worthy of keeping its people happy and well occupied and fulfilled, a lot of things have to be done. These people live largely on an income of less than $2 a day. They're remote, so the costs of reaching these services and goods into their lives is very expensive. They are living on a rapidly deteriorating resource base because they're poor and they have to mine essentially the resources, even things that we normally call renewable, things like forests, soils, waters, become non-renewable when they are overutilized, and they are actually, these people, forever in a trap of poverty. Poverty, resource degradation, no income, back to poverty. And what we set out to do 26 years ago was essentially to see ways in which technology particularly, but when we talk about technology, we talk about technology. I will describe in a minute. And markets and finance can be brought together in order to get out of that trap. We found over the years that the only solutions that would work and will scale up and scale out would be ones based on technologies that often don't exist yet, because the people who develop technology, people like yourselves, MIT, and IBM and so on, are not concerned about the lives of these 3 billion people, and marketing systems that don't exist because they are very, very different requirements for a market that has clients who can only have purchasing power of over $0.50 or less a day, and financial systems that don't exist because they are not able to generate the kinds of margins that today's financiers are looking for. So they have to be local, decentralized. The business model has to be, in fact, completely different. So you need different technologies, different business models, different financing systems, and actually different approaches to marketing. My organization, which is, as I said, called Development Alternatives, was set up as probably the first social enterprise anywhere in the world dealing with the issues of sustainable development. And it had to be set up in a fairly ingenious kind of way because the laws of my country, India, did not allow an entity that did both not-for-profit and for-profit. So the way I had to design it was to set up an organization that was not-for-profit, another organization that was for-profit, with a Chinese wall in between, but contractual relationships which allowed the one to do the innovation and technology development, throw the license over the wall to the other one, which then maybe sold them and paid a royalty. The one thing that the government of India allows a not-for-profit to make money out of is IP. So basically involved a certain amount of innovation in the form of institutional design. And we basically set up this, which has, over those 25 years, created a number of outputs and outcomes, which I will describe in a minute. Development Alternatives, not-for-profit, the brains, the creative design organization, has developed a whole range of technologies for low-cost housing, for looms, hand looms, for making water systems, energy systems, cooking systems, and a number of other things. These technologies are basically designed in such a way that they form the basis of a small mini enterprise, which can be set up in a village by a local entrepreneur for very little cost, and produce the end products that the local people need. For example, we have a machine that presses mud into so hard that it becomes a brick, unfired, and that machine is sold to an entrepreneur. Entrepreneur makes money out of 7 bricks. We have 5 bricks. So similarly for roofing materials and flooring materials and door frames, etc., for the housing sector. Similarly for cook stoves, for water systems, for decentralized renewable energy-based power systems, and so on. we sell these, local enterprises make the money, we make our money from selling them our franchising. Franchising has been a very interesting approach. We've found huge potential for it in the third world, but it has to be modified from the kind of franchising that we understand in the West today. As a result of all this, we've created 10,000 or more enterprises making different kinds of things. Our roofing materials, for example, are now found in more than 500,000 homes. As a result of all our work in different areas, there are probably more than 2.5 million, maybe close to 3 million jobs that have been created, which would not have been created had development alternatives not existed. We didn't create them ourselves, we caused them to be created by doing the kind of innovation. It is extremely expensive to get these technologies or anything, knowledge, information, into a remote market, into a village. If you send a person out there, maybe he or she can visit 1 or 2 villages a day, come back with nothing, and it can be extremely costly. And that is why, of course, the villages have not been in the market. What we basically found about the year 2001, 2002, that if the government of India did one thing right, it did it in the field of communications, both in the field of mobiles and broadband. The systems are now in place that virtually everybody in India can be either connected today or will be within the next year, 2 years, 3 years. So we designed a whole marketing system based on the net by using shared access for the net, by setting up franchise cyber kiosks in every village, by putting in content, because there is today virtually no content that a villager can use, even despite the hugeness of the net. Other than pornography, there is essentially nothing for a villager ready-made. So we set up a portal called tarahat.com, which is the name of our company, and that basically has huge amounts of content for farmers, for housewives, for students, for whoever, and can be accessible in the local language, and indeed has a certain amount of voice-over capabilities too for people who can't read. And this portal is then supported by fulfillment, by implementation, by a bunch of people called Tara Gurus, who are really barefoot consultants, who come and help you interpret what's available through the net, and help you set up your enterprise, or help you understand how to do IT or MS Office, or whatever it is you want. The idea basically is to create opportunities for people in villages to get the skills and the possibilities through placement services of getting a job. And that job then leads to a whole new economy which you can bootstrap once you have broken this and into the trap, out of the trap. Now, the social enterprise that I'm talking about has intricacies because part of it is not-for-profit, part of it is for-profit, confuses the hell out of investors, and it's very difficult to make them understand. Now, not-for-profit's not much of a problem. We raised more than $100 million over those years from foundations and governments and public funding agencies. But for-profit, which really now needs to expand throughout the country, does need some front-end investment, needs capital of the order of a few $1 million, which would enable it to reach profitability within a couple of years. It has 180 franchises operating at the moment. It will get to 800 or 900, by which time it will become profitable, and then it can follow self-financing growth from its retained earnings. Now, the thing I would just like to wrap up with is a thought. We talk about the globalized economy. Well, I face the globalized economy every day. The kind of people I need to run my operations, to develop products, to make deals with Unilever or whoever wants to sell in the village, are very sophisticated people. They're people who can get jobs in Singapore or in Boston or in California. I'm competing with IBM or Unilever for my people. I'm competing, I'm paying the market costs for space, for rents, for utilities, for travel, for machines, for software,